All right, everybody, I'm back again. This time we got Big Matt for a Crown Spotlight interview. How's it going, man?
How's it going? It's
Hey, it's
it's
good.
chilling, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for hopping on. I'm glad we finally got to do this one.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so without any further ado, is there anything that you want to promo to everybody? I think you got some exciting stuff that just dropped, right?
Yeah. I just today I just dropped a song called "I'm Sorry Goodbye," which is a spoken word song that somehow got recognized as an audiobook, which is interesting enough. But that's a very raw spoken word song. I was doing spoken word. I started writing when I was like 10 or 11, and I did that. I was using that as coping mechanism with poetry. And then
Hmm.
that moved to spoken word, which then moved to rap. And I found myself desiring to go back to that original. There's a lot of emotion in there that I don't find in a lot of other things. So
Hmm.
that is today. And I have another one of spoken word style again next Friday or next Saturday, actually. Um, and then tomorrow I have Bop It coming out, which is a very like 90s boom bap beat, very, it's just a party song. It's just to have fun with and everything, and drink your drink, smoke your smoke, and have a good time type of thing. And
Yep.
next Friday I have Touch of Soul releasing, which is a shorter song. I've always wanted to do, like a lot of artists do, the minute 45-second songs, and I always wanted to do that. So I got a beat for that, and it's definitely something more unique to my style for sure. So we definitely got some good stuff coming out.
Yeah, gotcha. It sounds like you've been putting in the work. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, Before we get into, I guess, some questions of just that whole process for you, you know, just to start off, where are you from? Obviously, you've explained your rapper spoken word, but where are you from? And maybe just tell us, how you got into creating music. I know you mentioned poetry, but maybe
Yep.
give a little context around it all.
Absolutely. So I'm from Abington, Pennsylvania, which
Mhm.
is right outside of Philly, and everybody says their town's right outside of Philly, but Abington and Cheltenham are actually right outside of Philly. Um, but I try to be careful not to come out directly as a Philly rapper, because that kind of takes away from the Philly rap scene, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to step on toes trying to be a Philly rapper, because that's not my style, and it's not. I'm not a Philly rapper like that. I'm very eclectic in what I do.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a fairly large town, I'd say. We have, I think, 2,000 kids graduating from the high school this year, which is insane. But I I've lived here my whole life, and I'm in Glenside in Abington Township, and lived in 8 different houses. My mom was a realtor growing up, so she always would sell somebody a house and see something she liked that we didn't have, and then we moved to a new house. Uh, but um, uh, I started writing, like I said, as a coping mechanism back in the day. I was doing poetry and doing that translated into spoken word, and I I had a lot of mental illnesses growing up. So when I was a kid, I had a horrible anxiety. I had really bad anger issues and stuff like that, which were at that time just what seemed like childhood issues that would go away. And then they ended up, now I'm diagnosed bipolar, which comes through a lot in my music and everything. It's definitely a major factor of what fuels a lot of the things I write.
Hmm.
Um, and so we had a lot going on at the house at that time, and I had a family member who was addicted to heroin, and so there's a lot of things going on with that there. I had somebody who had become like a sister, basically, because she had lived with us for a while, and she passed away from an overdose. And there was a lot to write about,
Hmm.
and I was having trouble finding the words of what I wanted to talk about, but I found it way easier to just word vomit onto the page, and get it all out that way. And
Yeah.
then I got to college. I was in college in Bloomsburg for a few years, and I linked up with some people that were doing music, and they got me interested in the idea. And I dabbled a little bit, but it was god awful. It was bad, but and so then through that time, I had considered music more and more, and I had researched more, and I eventually got to a point that I had met my homie of mine, Walt, who lives in Cheltenham right here, who he does music as well. And he was like, "You gotta hop on a mic." I was showing him some lyrics I had, and he's like, "You gotta just do it once, just do it once, just do it once." And so the mix back then for both of us wasn't the best, but we both refined our skills since then. But he's definitely what I would attribute to helping me get on the mic is my homie Walt for sure. And then from then on, it's just been learning and doing and learning and doing and learning and doing and in a repetitive cycle because I'm always trying to learn something new. So
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, awesome. So, for you right now, how often are you making music?
I try. So that's the problem. That's what I try to like talk about with people with the music stuff is like that's the problem with writing as a coping mechanism and that being what I end up putting over a beat or putting over a lo-fi beat or a boom bap beat or whatever it may be. Is that it doesn't really come on command. So there's a lot of days that I'm very, very, very depressed and I can't write, I can't record because I never feel comfortable recording if my heart's not in what I'm saying. And I want all my stuff to convey the fact that it is my rawest form of emotion. And so there's months that go by that I don't write anything new, and thankfully I have a vault of like 200 or 300 songs written down that I've never recorded because I write so much. So on
Gotcha.
those times I'll try to record, and then when I can record or when I can write, when I can write but I can't record, I'll write, build up my vault there, and then when I can record but not write, I'll go through the vault and pick out what I'm feeling in that moment because any emotion I was feeling that I wrote down is sure to repeat itself. So
Gotcha. And so I think on Instagram I saw that you were, maybe in the studio. I think last week it was.
I was,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And so is that a studio that you have at your place, or
Yeah,
where?
so it's not I wouldn't definitely I call it the studio, but I
That's
live
the
with my
studio for
fiance and her family now, and that's my fiance Olivia. For I don't know what ladies you got watching, but I'm taken already. I put a ring on it. So, but anyway, I live with her and her mom and her sister right now. So I come back to my parents' house and I use what used to be my bedroom. I just have AT 4050 mic, which I should throw that in there. My dad was huge in music back in the day, not huge popular wise, but just he was into it. So he shreds the guitar. He can play bass. He can play piano. He can play drums. He can sing. He was in a bunch of bands in Philly, playing at the Roxy and stuff back in the day. So
Mhm.
he has lots of equipment that's very handy for me, which was a blessing for sure. So I have an AT 4050 mic on its stand, and depending on the sound I'm going for, I'll either stick it in the corner of the room or I'll have it facing the open room. And I just have
Mhm.
a pop filter on there. I use Sony studio headphones that are studio professional headphones, but from 2001, I think. Uh, I just got my Scarlett Solo USB in my laptop, and
Yep.
that's about it. That's about it. I don't even have one of the background things or anything, but um, I've found that I like the sound of the room because it definitely it comes through the track that it sounds like I'm there with you or in the car with you or in your room with you or on the speakers and I'm in your presence. But
Mhm.
it's also helped me to develop and fine tune presets and mixing channels for myself that um, further that feeling without sounding, echoey or anything like that. And so it just
Yep.
really sounds very raw and like I'm right there.
Mhm. Yeah. So I mean, just hearing you speak on it, it seems like you're really like you understand what you're doing to a level that maybe a lot of people don't. Would you say that's just like repetition and wisdom over time, or is it your dad that kind of helps pass that knowledge down? Like,
So
You know.
my dad, since once I started doing the music, he's been very, very helpful in helping me, like fine tune compressor settings and cutting and crossfading and timing things because he I did a song way back. I don't. It's actually released on SoundCloud on an album that used a bunch of free for profit beats that I try not to use anymore because two of them I think already got sold to somebody else. I'm waiting for them to get taken down, but he showed me, he was like, why don't you cut this, cut this, and time it out. And he moved it like, I mean, millimeters, he just barely moved it. And then he showed it to me. And I always think of an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick shows Morty true level and then he
Oh
can't go
yeah.
back to the normal world. And that's what he did to me,
You
So
know.
now I'm like a stickler. I'll go through and
Yeah.
cut every breath I can to make sure I can time every lyric perfectly, So he definitely passed a lot down to me. A lot.
Mhm.
My friend Walt, like I said, he showed me a lot of the basics in FL. My friend Rodaway had made a couple presets for me. He's over in Cali.
Okay.
And that's part of a little group I hook up with a lot. It's OVS Online Vampire Squad that they're
Okay.
they're they they do a lot of I wouldn't even know how to explain. They kind of got their own style,
Hmm.
They're a bunch of homies of mine that have helped me a lot in the process of learning all these things and showing me just a lot of how to use FL and how to use different settings to my favor and my benefit. Um,
Okay.
and other than that, I watch a lot of videos, YouTube videos. I work at a bakery. I'm the
Mhm.
baker for
Yep.
I bake bagels. So at 4
Oh,
a.m.
nice.
Yeah, I go. So I go at 4 a.m. I'm in there. So it takes like 40 minutes for the oven to heat up once I'm in there before I can use it. So I got
Mhm.
about 40 minutes every morning to just kind of take a moment early in the morning. So I'll try to watch videos on just better mixing traits and characteristics, and I learn new things every single time. So I just recently in the past few songs started getting into like fine tuning my parametric EQs and everything, and so
Mhm.
it's slowly. But I still have my SoundCloud up, and I kept certain songs up for a reason because you can go back. I want people to go back and listen to my songs from a little over a year ago, and then go listen to what I have out now because it's just every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my lord, it was like the lyrics are there. I'll give myself that, but the flow and the confidence and the mixing, just it's not there, and that's something I think I've seen grown the most is my confidence through all of this,
Yeah.
both in my music and just in life in general. I find myself uh you know the same way my music is my music and I'm speaking what I'm speaking, and you can't tell me no to that. It's my art.
Mhm.
It's and the same way every artist gets the right to do that is definitely translated into my life in a healthy way that like I'm much better with like this is what I want, this is what I need out of this situation or this job or this moment or this transaction, any whatever it is,
Mhm.
so music
Yeah.
is
Gotcha.
soul food, you know,
Mhm.
as
Yeah. And I
Common
mean,
would say.
yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I mean, you can tell you got the passion. You clearly have the knowledge. I'm super excited to hear and see what you do with everything to see
I
your passion.
appreciate that.
Um, I'm super glad we got to do this. Like I barely even
Yeah,
had to ask.
absolutely. Yeah,
We got the
that's one of the
knowledge.
biggest
We
things.
got it.
I always say that. I always tell people I'm like I wish I could explain myself. I feel like people would click so much more for certain things if like I could just be like, nah, this is what I meant, and then it's like, oh no way, you know what I mean?
This is the thing is like you were answering all my questions and I wasn't saying anything. It was like it was
Hey,
perfect. Like yeah.
I
So I
try.
mean, yeah. So I mean, again, thank you for giving me the time and
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity for this for real. It's my
yeah,
first
and,
my first interview, so I think it was a pretty good one.
yeah. Hey, I think you crushed it. And yeah, hopefully we can do more in the future. Let me
Absolutely.
know if there's ever anything else I can do to help you out. Yeah,
Absolutely. I
let's
really appreciate it.
stay in touch.
All right, sounds good. I'll definitely keep you updated about what's going on for sure.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Have a good
All
one,
right.
Big Matt.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.